The Miami Hurricanes have added another big-time recruit. And speaking of big, he's going to be the middleman in the trenches.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Into the Portal Podcast, this live show. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers who bet $5 and win will gain $300 to use across the FanDuel app. Download it today. We're going to be focusing on the latest recruiting news, commitments, decommitments, everybody from Army to Miami. The recruiting cycle is picking back up as coaches get fired and coaches get hired here very soon. We'll be talking a lot about the coaching carousel in the upcoming weeks and months. But today, recruiting really does take center stage. And we're also going to focus on Miami. How good is their class? And that starts with what I'm going to talk about right now to lead the show. That is Stansel. This is a young man that is, Keyshawn's a big kid, like really athletic, but he is a kid that can be the front and center player in the middle of your defense at 3-tech. He's 270, 280 pounds. He's very athletic. He has been flipped from Clemson to the Miami Hurricanes. Mario Cristobal and his entire staff, Jason Taylor, of course, the Hall of Fame defensive end that is the D-line coach for the Canes. All of those people involved with it, they deserve credit. It takes a lot to get somebody to flip from Clemson. Keyshawn's one of the better players, again, in the country, and he's a big guy. 270 pounds is what he's listed at. I think he's probably a little bit bigger. He's out of Clayton, North Carolina, just for the sake of argument. 24/7 has got him ranked as the number 217 player in the country, but he had offers for pretty much everybody. And if you take nothing else from this podcast, please take note of the following. Teams that do not recruit well in the trenches generally don't do very well in the field, but defensive tackle is another notch above. The Canes have not one, not two, not three, but 4 players that project at defensive tackle in this current recruiting class. 4. That's quite the number. And on top of that, they also have a couple of different players in their front 7 that can be difference makers, including Ashari Charles, who will probably be a pass rusher. He's out of Venice High School, just south of Sarasota, Bradenton area. This is how you win in college football, no matter the era. Win in the trenches. Miami's sticking with that. And on the other side, they've got 6 offensive linemen. They got Kenneth Pickett. Of course, they got the big guy from Missouri, who's, in my opinion, is good, if not better than any player in the country. Looking at their class on the offensive line, I don't even know which guy you would focus on the most. Everybody wants to talk about Jackson Cantwell, but Kenneth Pickett and several other guys are really good too. And then on top of it, Miami has size at wide receiver. They've got multiple players that can go and be the boundary guy that's 6'2", 6'3", and they got Samarian Wingo, who can be a flanker, and they got my guy Vance Spafford, who will be at slot. This is a really, really good class all around. And of course, they got Coleman at receiver or at quarterback. This is a good class. And I posed the question in my titling with the thumbnail for the YouTube pod. Is this a class that can be top 8? It's borderline. Miami sits with 25 commitments. They're not done. They could add 1 or 2 more. They would certainly take Derek Cooper. But could they get into the top 8? Yes. And here I'm going to give you 2 reasons why that is plausible. Number 1 is adding players. And number 2, because they're trending well, they're recruiting hard, and the team's doing well on the field, they're probably not going to lose as many as some other schools. Remember, Florida, we don't know what's going to happen there. Lord only knows. Florida State, I think there's a good chance they make a change at head coach too. How do we know? To think that the University of Miami wouldn't pick up at least 1, if not multiple players based on 2 prime rivals having head coaching changes is probably not the wisest thing to think. I would imagine Miami would benefit from that in some capacity with this class, even more so possibly with the 27 class, depending on who the Gators get and if the Noles actually do change on from Norvell and get somebody else. This could be a long-term effect. But let's dive back into Stansel. Why do I like him so much? 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the natural size and athleticism. And number 2, He's not a guy that's just like massive that needs to lose weight. He's a big kid, big body kid that can move, but he can still be shaped and structured while adding weight. It is the happy medium. I think he's a guy that you could develop into a pass rusher while he's still strong enough to hold the point of attack when teams attack with the double team on the interior. If you can find guys like that in a class, that's the ultimate on the defensive side of the ball. There are never enough defensive tackles coming out of the prep ranks. That's not going to change anytime soon. And again, Miami has 4. Stancil is, I think, a little bit underrated. And even though he's a top 250 kid, it's not like he's being overlooked here. But you just don't find many guys that have that skill. He can hold up at the point of attack, and he has the physical traits to eventually develop into a pass rusher that is not just good, but like one you have to, okay, where's Stancil at on this play? You have to shift your, not just your blocking scheme, but you might even shift what play you're in because of where he's lined up in critical moments, 3rd and short, 4th and short, things like that. Those are players that change games. So Miami's class right now, it's ranked like number 12 from 24/7. That's just a barometer. This is a class that I think could end up in the top 8 if they just add a couple guys, even if it's just FSU and Florida they're taking players from. And again, UF has already switched out from Billy Napier. I think that Norvell will end up getting canned at Florida State. To think that Miami won't benefit there is probably foolish. And then there are other jobs, LSU. Trenton Henderson sitting out there. He's the kid from Pensacola. Maybe Miami gets him to visit. Who knows? But Florida State and all these other jobs coming open or possibly coming open, it's going to benefit the Canes. So do not be surprised when they end up ranked inside the top 10. And again, my level that I'm kind of curious if they get over, do they get inside the top 8? When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and get into the latest news. That is next here on this live show of the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride with the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are also brought to you by your friends over at Mazda. And Mazda's got them moving the game forward and everything that's going on. And Mazda also has been very, very good with the top safety picks. They won the awards that have been more than anybody else since August of 2025. And from breathwork to footwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to detail with every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making this a part of your day each and every day moving forward. We're going to be doing live shows at noon Eastern pretty much every day, Monday through Friday, barring something unforeseen. The holiday season, I might miss a few days traveling, but Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, you'll see something going on with recruiting, transfer portal, and definitely the coaching carousel because it impacts everybody in the industry, assistant coaches, back office. If you want to talk about roster management, it starts with head coaching news. So we're going to talk about that quite a bit too. But right now I want to talk about the latest commitments and what's next for Miami. Just want to throw this out as a final parting shot on the Hurricanes recruiting class. Do not discount them landing one more special player, whether it's a DB, whether it's a receiver, a running back, etc. If there's one thing I know about Cristobal and his staff, they're never quite finished, at least in their own minds. If there's an opportunity, they will seize it. I'm not saying I have a specific player in mind. I've got a few that I could see because they've been involved with some players. There's a kid in Georgia. If you're a Miami fan, you know what I'm talking about. But there are several different possibilities around, and they just keep making it happen. And to that end, they've recently done well with commitments. And I don't know how they come up with these and why more schools don't do it, but they've been very consistent. So let's start off with this. Mylon Paris, speaking of Miami, he recently committed. He's out of Walsh Jesuit in Stowe, Ohio. That's northern part of the state. It's a tradition-rich program. He's another big-bodied receiver they got. He's 6'5 plus. Boundary receivers, they're hard to find. He committed to the Canes. He could have went to a lot of different programs. Nice pickup from Miami right there. We also have a few other kids that are recent commitments that they're pretty darn good to talk about. And I want to give credit to everybody, including the Army Knights. Mason Mixon out of a really good program. Randall, they recently won a state championship down in the Houston area, tight end, 6'4", 220. He's going over to Army. Arkansas picks up Ari Slocum. Kind of surprising to get a kid while your head coaching search is going on, but he did. He's out of Union Parish in Farmersville, Louisiana. Jarvis Dickerson, he's out of Texas. He's a kid going all the way up to Washington State. Wow, that is crazy. 6'2", 180 pounds. He's a safety going to play at Wazoo. And then we've got Torrin Evans. He's going to be heading out. I'm not even sure how to pronounce the name on this. But anyway, he's another kid that has committed. A lot of these young men are going to some of these smaller schools that I don't know quite as much about. But I think it's great when some of these schools get some mention. He's going out to play for Marist. Good for him. He's a kid that's 6 foot, 170 pounds. He's a quarterback. We got Charlie Mandebach. He's out of an area that I'm familiar with because I'm from Indiana. He's going to Central Michigan. He's an offensive tackle off the south side of Indianapolis at Center Grove. Mylon Paris, I just mentioned. We got Jordan Stiles, wide receiver, 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's going out to Wyoming. That's pretty interesting. He is from the Woodlands, Texas, just outside of Houston. We got Jamari Burnett. He's going to Alabama State. He is from Russell County High School in Alabama, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Temple with a couple of commitments. Ash Roberts out of Roman Catholic in Philadelphia, wide receiver, 5'8", 170. We also have Ian Steed Jr., another athlete, 5'10", 175 pounds from Roman Catholic, also staying home, going to Temple. In Utah, this kid was formerly committed to Minnesota. Matali Benjamin, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He is massive, 6'7", 315-pound offensive tackle. Going to stay home and play for the Utes. He is from Lehi, Utah. Cincinnati, Joshua Smith. He gets to go to Cincinnati from not that far away. He's from Columbus, Ohio. He plays at Columbus Columbus Early College. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. That's a new school. He's going to Cincinnati. And then again, Keyshawn Stansel from Miami. That's a big commit that comes off a decommitment. And speaking of, that's not the only one here recently. There have been a few others. Jamarcia Plater, he is decommitted for Wake Forest. He was recently committed to them. He is from Captain Shreve in Shreveport, Louisiana. We also have Joshua Smith decommitting from Bowling Green. He is a young man from that school I just talked about a minute ago, and he's headed over to Cincinnati. Boston College loses Nikir Helton. He's a wide receiver that's committed from New Jersey, no longer with the Eagles. Braylon Outlaw decommitted. He's committed to Tennessee. He was at Pike Road, which is one of the best programs in the state of Alabama. Linebacker, 6 foot, 218 pounds. And Jalen Jones, a kid from Fresno City College. He is no longer committed to West Virginia. He's a safety. And finally, Rice, James Henderson III out of Cy Falls, another Houston area kid, has decommitted from Rice. Last thing on this before we get out of here, we have all this coaching news. I just want to kind of throw this in. I made the prediction recently that I think at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin will stick with Ole Miss. But regardless if I'm right, wrong, or indifferent, 2 points on the head coaches. It still starts at the top. Florida, LSU, maybe Penn State. Who knows how many different people are going to go after. Not just the hottest name in the SEC, probably the hottest name, would you say, in college football after the way Ole Miss's offense tore up Oklahoma. Nobody else has done that. I think I'd go with Kiffin. I think I would go with him. If he's that guy that stays, how long does it take and how much does that impact other jobs that, honestly, they have no shot to get him to flip? But because he's taking longer and his team's likely to go into playoff, it shifts where assistant coaches go or don't go. It shifts where recruits go or whether they decommit because they're waiting to find out about a coach at the school they're committed to because they're changing jobs. And the whole Kiffin situation floods the waters across a broad stroke. He's probably going to take this into December, if not January. Again, Ole Miss is going to be in the playoff. There's a chance they could even get a bye. Who knows? If that transpires, his decision, especially if it's later, impacts people across the country. So it's not just who gets hired, it's the timing of it. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on. We're going to talk about it every day right here on the Portal Podcast. And as a note, tomorrow I've got a pod coming up talking about 10-year contracts, these schools got to get away from them. Some way, somehow, they got to do it. Even if it's hiring a guy you don't necessarily want quite as much, you have to say no to the 10-year contracts. They are a terrible deal for colleges, and it's unattainable. It's just not tenable. It's not. You cannot find a way to continually get this money every 3 to 5 years because most coaches don't meet the criteria that the boosters want. Stay away from the 10-year contracts. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst, bringing you all the latest recruiting news. Pretty soon will be portal season again, starting to see a few guys trickle in. We'll talk more about that once we get into next week because there's going to be more coaching firings. By the way, party shot, if Venables loses this weekend at Tennessee, that hot seat's going to get a lot warmer. That's going to be a good game. Tennessee's offense can score. And again, it's another matchup against an Oklahoma defense that's got some talent, but will they rise to the occasion? If not, I think we're going to hear some more chatter about that. Thank you again for checking out the Portal Podcast. We'll see you again soon.